All right. I think the sound is sounding pretty good. Let's see. Yep, the sound does sound pretty good. All right, cool. So, welcome to another public live stream session. Man, am I super fired up to talk about the biggest myth in personal finance, the so-called magic number to retire early or retire on time. And the latest survey from CNBC said that the new figure to retire comfortably for most people is $1.26 million, which is down from 1.46 million last year. And my first thought was, here we go again. Is $1 million enough? 2 million? It's really the wrong question entirely. That number is designed to grab headlines, not get you retired. The truth is, it causes more anxiety than clarity. And I see it stop people dead in their tracks from calculating their own fire numbers. And your financial independence number depends entirely on your pension income or some other passive income streams, your annual expenses, and the age you want to retire by. And I'll have Q&As later on in this live stream, so be sure to post your questions in the live chat below. So let's dig into this real quick because this is really interesting here. Right there. All right. So let's dig into what's really going on. The survey from Northwestern Mutual came out, and thousands of people said that on average, people think they need about 1.26 million to retire. That is down from last year, probably because, well, they say inflation has cooled off just a little bit and people are adjusting their expectations. So I want to walk you through how I calculate my fire number throughout this live stream, which is also being live streamed to my private community. And it's not a one-step process at all. And my private clients and I work on this on a daily basis because every person has a different fire number. You can always check out my free financial resources like the compound interest calculator, as well as the fire calculator by visiting firesuccess.com/resources. You can also get 20% off on our Fire Investing Academy and the private community by using the coupon code FIRE LIVESTREAM, and just use that coupon code at firesuccess.com/pricing. But anyway, this is where the fantasy of a magic number completely collides with reality. And honestly, it's a little jarring. The survey says people think they need $1.26 million to feel secure. Remember, your financial independence number is not about your feelings, but it's the actual numbers. Then you look at what people actually have. And according to the latest data from Fidelity, which handles a ton of these accounts, the average 401k balance at the end of last year was sitting at $131,700, and the average IRA was about $127,534. Now, you don't need me to do the math for you on that part. Now, we're talking about a gap of over $1 million between the dream and the reality for the average person. It is this massive canyon between the two that creates so much stress and makes people feel like the goal is impossible, right? And it shows you right there why latching on to some national average number is a recipe for anxiety and not a recipe for a successful retirement plan. But here's the thing, and this is the part that gets me. The same report says retirement confidence is actually sinking. And think about that for a second. The goalpost got a little closer, but people feel even less likely to score. Why? Well, just look at the stock market this year. You open your statement and your portfolio is looking a little seasick after the ride it's been on. The S&P, the NASDAQ, they've been going up and down, right? And they've been taking a beating, or they've been going on a higher or all-time high, right? And even though the magic number went down, so did a lot of people's balances, and that just shakes your confidence. And right now, the S&P 500 is still flat as of today. And what that means to your portfolio is that it's just going to stay flat today. And people have that unnecessary anxiety to show that, well, I'm never going to achieve that 1.26 million or whatever that headline number is. And here's the reality, okay? And most people have no clue what their actual number or retirement number is. If I asked you right now to drop your number in the comments, could you actually do it? Be honest. So how much do you really need to retire? Well, here's the thing. That's not even a secret. It has almost nothing to do with replacing your current income. You're not trying to recreate your 45-year-old life at 55 or 65. Your life will be different, your expenses will be different. So the very first step, the absolute foundation of your retirement plan is knowing your expenses, your financial independence number, your FIRE number. It all starts right here. Now, without this number, every other part of your retirement plan is just guesswork. Now, I want you to break down your expenses into two buckets. First, your essential expenses. These are the non-negotiable, the things that you have to pay for to live. And I want you to list them out and even prioritize them and start with groceries, then your housing, whether that's a mortgage, rent, or property taxes, then utilities, and the big one, healthcare. And after that, communication, your phone, your internet, then transportation, insurance, home, auto, life. And if you've got some pets, furry family members, pets are in that category. And these are your must haves. And the second bucket is your discretionary expenses. This is the fun stuff, the lifestyle stuff. The order here does not matter as much, but it's typically things like household items, going out to restaurants, your Netflix and other subscriptions, entertainment like concerts or golf, and any credit card annual fees that you may have, and gifts for the holidays and birthdays. And once you have those two lists and you have an amount next to each one, you have the beginning of a real plan. And you now know the cost of your life in retirement. Now, for the big question, especially for those of you who are a little older and may have been with a company for a long time, do you have pension coming in every month? And if so, can that pension check by itself cover your list of essential expenses? Maybe you have a military pension, first, or CSRS pension, VA disability pension, Social Security pension, or private pension. Your pension income can reduce your FIRE investment number dramatically by hundreds of thousands of, or maybe even $1 million or more. And I did 20 years in the Air Force, and I have a military pension income, and eventually my VA disability income whenever the VA decides to approve it, because I claim some things after working at the burn pit, deploying to Iraq, Afghanistan, and Kuwait over my military career. Whatever those figures are can reduce how much you need to invest. And let me just show you how this works, right? So let me give you an example. Let's say, I'm going to type this out here and make sure that you guys can see this. And this is live. I know some people think that is this even a live stream? Yes, it is. So let's say you're going to collect $40,000 a year in pension income, right? And let's say your expenses are going to be $75,000 a year in expenses. Okay. So the first year, and I know what people say, you can make more than a 4% withdrawal. And I get that. The market has been great. I think the person who came up with the 4% withdrawal rule even said that 5% is okay, right? But in the first year, you want to be as conservative as you can. When I say first year, that would be the first year of your retirement. So $75,000, and you want to multiply that by 25, and that's going to give you $1.875 million. Wow, AI just does all the math for me on my behalf. Anyway, so 1.875 million without any pension income is going to be your FIRE investment number to make that 4% withdrawal rule. So again, 75,000 multiplied by 25, and that will be 25 years of your annual expenses. Okay. So let's say $75,000 a year, but you have a $40,000 a year in pension income. Now you want to subtract 75,000 minus $40,000 because you're always going to have $40,000 a year in pension income that could cover almost over half of your expenses, right? So what does that give you? So remember, then you want to look at 35,000 multiplied by 25 years, and that gives you $875,000 invested. So what this means to me is that because I have this, let me switch it to red here, because I have $40,000 a year in pension income, then $75,000 a year in annual expenses that could be combined with essential and discretionary. So instead of 1.875 million, now it's going to be reduced down to 875,000 because of this pension income. Does that make sense? Right? And you don't necessarily have to have a military pension like I do or VA disability. And you may be someone who's waiting to collect Social Security at 62, 67, or 70, or you may have a private pension. Whatever that may be, And you may have real estate properties. You may have multiple real estate income streams. So that could be a part of the fire income stream that's coming in that could reduce how much money you really need to invest. So when I say just straight flat out, right, and say you need to have $1.875 million invested, you're going to be like, I'm never going to achieve that. And but what you need to figure out first, number one, again, your annual expenses, right? And then number two, what your annual pension income is going to be. And then you can subtract that pension income from the annual expenses and then multiply by that by 25. Now, if you want to have, let's say, multiply that by 33 because you want to have a say 55 or 5% withdrawal rate or 3% withdrawal rate, whatever that may be, you can do it however you want it, but you want to make sure that this money is invested, right? And then you still have some cash set aside. And I always recommend having at least 2 years of expenses set aside in cash. So this is cash. So I would have at least $150,000 sitting in cash on top of the 875,000. This is just one scenario here. So I hope that makes sense. Okay. Now, if you have, let's say, enough, you're going to have enough pension coming in. I'm sorry, the previous one. Let me go back to that. So if you're going to have enough pension coming in to cover your annual expenses, then congratulations. You're in a fantastic and increasingly rare position. And this means your core needs are met with just your pension income. Your housing is secure, you can eat, you can keep the lights on, and all without touching your investments. And this gives you an incredible advantage. You can let your investments continue to grow for much, much longer. This is where you can really see the power of compound interest work for you. And now remember the rule of 72. And I talk about that on my channel multiple times. It is a simple little trick. You can just divide 72 by your expected annual rate of return, and it tells you roughly how many years it will take for your investment to double. So if you expect an 8% average annual return, your money doubles in about 9 years. If your pension is covering the bills, you can just let that nest egg double and then double again. But if your pension cannot cover your essentials, or if you don't have one coming in yet, we have to go down a different path. This means you're going to need to rely on your investments and other income sources to bridge the gap, which makes your FIRE investment number much bigger than what I showed you earlier, right? So the next question is, do you have any other income streams? I am talking about things like rental income from a property you own, income from a side business you plan to keep running, or maybe some royalties, anything that's considered active earned income. And if you don't have any of that, we move on to the next level, unearned income. And this is money that comes in without you actively working for it. This is where we start looking at your, say, retirement accounts, right? Now, for you guys thinking about retiring before that magic 59 and a half age, there is a special provision called a rule of 55. And if you leave your job in the year you turn 55 or later, you can start taking withdrawals from that company's 401k or 403b without that nasty 10% early withdrawal penalty. And the rule of 55 also applies to the TSP if you have that. So if you're in that boat, the question is, can the withdrawals from that 401k cover your essential expenses? And keep in mind that this needs to be your traditional 401k and not your Roth 401k under the rule of 55, because you will be penalized and taxed for the portion of your Roth 401k withdrawal. And I talked about that in a separate video. And if you're a bit older, and let's say you're at least 59 and a half, the gates are wide open. You have penalty-free access to your traditional 401k and your Roth IRA earnings. Again, the question is, can your combined retirement investments cover your essential expenses? And finally, if the answer is no to all of that, maybe you're trying to retire at 50 or earlier, and you cannot use the rule of 55 yet. We look at what's left. Can your taxable brokerage account or the contributions you've made to your Roth IRA cover your essential expenses? So now, this may sound complicated, but it's just a checklist. It is a flow chart to figure out which tap you can turn on and when, right? Now, let's make this real with a few examples. So let's say I want to retire at 50 and I've already run my numbers. And to live comfortably, I need $80,000 a year after taxes. I don't have any pension income coming in until I'm much older. So that's off the table for now. Now, I've got a taxable brokerage account. Let's say I have $1.5 million in it. And using the standard 4% withdrawal rule, that gives me $60,000 a year. And some of that will come from dividends and some from selling off appreciated stocks. And let's say my portfolio pays a 2% dividend yield. That's $30,000 right there. The other $30,000 would come from selling shares, which would be taxed at the lower long-term capital gains tax rate. So I've got 60,000, but I need 80,000 and I'm short $20,000. Where's that going to come from? Well, maybe I've got a Roth IRA with $1 million in it. Now, I'm only 50 in this example, so I cannot touch the Roth earnings in my Roth IRA for another 9.5 years without a penalty. But I can withdraw my own Roth contributions at any time for any reason, tax-free and penalty-free. So over the years, I've put in, let's say, $200,000 into that Roth IRA. I need to bridge a 10-year gap until I can fully access that account and other retirement funds. So I take that $200,000 and divide it by 10 years, and that's $20,000 per year. It really depends on when you started your Roth IRA contribution so that you may have more or less than $200,000. In any case, this is why it's so important to have your Roth IRA along with your employer-sponsored retirement account, like your 401k, 403b, or TSP, because you can gain access to your Roth IRA contributions at any time, tax-free and penalty-free. You cannot do that with your Roth 401k, Roth 403b, or Roth TSP. Now, look what just happened, right? I've got $60,000 from my brokerage account. I'll write this down so you guys can see. 60K from my brokerage account, and I got another 20K coming from my Roth IRA contributions. So that's $80,000 a year, and I've hit my FIRE number at 50. And that doesn't account for inflation, though. And that's another conversation entirely. But in terms of pure income generation, the plan works. And I've built a bridge to my later retirement years. Okay. Now, let me give you another example. Let's say, let's try another one. And I forgot to show that slide. But let's try this one. Let's say I'm 55 and I've decided that this is my year to retire at 55. I've run my numbers and my comfortable retirement expenses, those are going to cost me $100,000 a year. And because I'm 55 and leaving my job now, I can take advantage of the rule of 55. And I've got, let's say, $1 million in my company's traditional 401k. So with the 4% withdrawal rule, that would be $40K per year from the traditional 401k, right? So that's the 4% withdrawal rule. But since this is a traditional 401k, every dollar I take out is taxed as ordinary income. Now we have to remember that. So now I've got $40,000 in taxable income, but I still need $100,000, right? So let's check my other accounts. I've also got $1 million in my Roth IRA. And just like the last example, we'll just say $200,000 of that is my own contributions. And I need to bridge a 5-year gap, which is much smaller than a 10-year gap until I turn 59.5 and can access that whole thing without penalty. So do the same math. $200,000 divided by 5 years, that's going to give me another $40K per year, right? So I'm going to write this down. That'll be 401k. And this is going to be the Roth contributions, Roth IRA contributions, right? So tally so far, 40,000 taxable income from the 401k plus $40,000 tax-free income for my Roth contributions. That's $80,000 a year. I am still short about $20,000. Plus, I've got to account for taxes on that 401k income. So that's also going to depend on your tax filing status. If you're single or married filing jointly, at what age you're going to start taking money out, because your standard deductions might be a lot higher based on your age, right? Maybe you're 65 or older. But anyway, and I'm close, but not quite at the finish line. But what if I also have $500,000 sitting in a, let's say, taxable brokerage account? So at 4%, that's another $20K per year, right? So that's $20,000 a year from my taxable brokerage account at 4%. and that income will be taxed at the most favorable long-term capital gains tax rate. Now, I've got it, right? Now I've got it. 40,000 from my 401k, 40,000 from the Roth contributions, and $20,000 from the brokerage. And that's my $100,000 a year. My retirement is funded and I am ready to go, right? So that's how I start calculating my retirement, my FIRE or financial independence number. And here's the bottom line that I want you to remember. This is not about your emotions. It's not about a feeling. You cannot just feel like you're ready to retire. You also cannot eat your house during your retirement. So you should not count what you have in the equity of your home when it comes to calculating your FIRE investment number, because you're not going to take out a HELOC or a home equity loan to cover your expenses, right? You don't want to take out a debt as it defeats the purpose of being financially independent. And this is one of the biggest financial decisions of your life. And you have to approach it like a CEO or CFO making a major corporate decision. It is about your number, your specific personal calculated number. Then you have to know with confidence that the math works. You have to know which accounts you're going to withdraw from, in what order, and how they will be taxed. Forget the magic number that CNBC or whoever is talking about you see in the headlines, right? Find your number. When you know your number and you can see the path to generating that income year after year, and that's when you know you're ready to retire. Okay, so let me give some membership real quick here, and I'm going to get into the Q&As that some people have submitted. If you don't see it in the live channel on YouTube, this is also being streamed live on my private community. So you can join my private community by visiting firesuchet.com/community, and I'll be happy to have you. But okay, so the first question is, okay, so which account would you withdraw from first during your retirement? So that really depends on your situation, but I'm going to give you my scenario because I can't really give you personalized financial advice on YouTube or any social media setting without understanding what your situation is. So the first account I always withdraw from will be from that's going to be taxable, especially traditional 401k or traditional IRA, because that's always going to be the higher tax rates with the ordinary income tax. Then the next one I always take money out of will be the taxable brokerage account. So because that's also that's favored at 0, 15, or 20%, that would be the long-term capital gains tax rate. Then I'm going to make sure that those two buckets can cover my expenses, because I want to leave my Roth alone as long as possible. I know it kind of like sounds like a weird thing to say, right? Because people are like, well, why don't you want to touch your Roth IRA or Roth 401k? For me, as long as my Roth can grow tax-free, that's going to be more tax-free money in the future. So what I want to take out first is the, like, say, traditional 401k or traditional IRA, because those assets do fall under the what's called the required minimum distributions. So when I turn 75, and it really depends on your birth year, when I turn 75, my traditional 401k and traditional IRA are going to be subject to the required minimum distributions. So the IRS has a table based on your life expectancy, and they're going to tell you how much money that you need to take out each year, because you have been putting money into your 401k tax deferred. So that's kind of a way for Uncle Sam or the IRS come knocking on your door and say, hey, it's time for you to take that money out so that you can pay taxes on it. And that's what that traditional 401k is all about. So for me, I'm always going to be prioritizing that, because by the time I'm 75, I don't want to have to worry about that kind of stuff, right? I don't want to have to worry about the required minimum distributions. I have been advocating for Roth for a long time. Just Roth is always going to beat my traditional. Obviously, it depends on your financial situation. For me, I live in Nevada, in Vegas, so we have no state income tax. So I'll only pay for the federal income tax rate at whatever that marginal tax rate is going to be for me. And let's say if I'm paying at 24% at $10,000, that's $2,400 that I would have to pay taxes every year. But I also know my break-even point from how much money I paid up front to the taxes and how long it takes my, let's say, Roth IRA to grow tax-free so that it just breaks even at that point, right? I hope that makes sense. That's kind of my strategy. I do have videos on that on my channel. You can check it out. It'll say something like the bucket withdrawal strategy that I have on there. But yeah, just take a look when you get a chance. All right. And the other private group member, let's see. Okay, this is a good one. So this person is a federal employee, and I'm guessing you have a first pension coming in. So if you person asked, what if I had $30,000 in first pension income in 2026? How much do I need in my TSP? So again, the data you're not giving me is what your annual expenses are going to be. So I'm just going to use an example like what you're saying right now. So you have 30,000 in first pension that's coming in, right? I'm guessing that's something that with your employer, because I can't even help you with that number. You would have to find it out on your own. But let's say you are getting $30,000 a year in first pension income. I don't know if that's gross or if that's going to be after tax, right? So because they do deduct survivors benefits and stuff like that from first, as well as FEHB, all that stuff. So that's something that you need to figure out. I don't know if that 30,000 is gross or if it's take home income. So I'm just going to call this gross for right now because I don't know, right? Yeah, how much would you need in your TSP? That really depends on your expenses. So like I said in this live stream, if you don't know your annual expenses, you need to calculate that now. Divide that between the essential expenses and the discretionary expenses. What you need, how much you need every year to survive on versus how much money you need to pay for entertainment or holiday shopping and stuff like that. So if let's say your annual expenses are going to be $60,000 a year. Okay, I'm just going to use that as an example. That's my eraser. So let's say 60K per year. It's going to be your annual expenses. Okay. Now, again, this would be, if you didn't have a pension, then it would be that fire number. Let's say 60. I don't know why it keeps going to my eraser. Let's say 60,000 multiplied by 25 equals. Look at that. AI just solves it for me. Then you would need $1.5 million to achieve that fire number. But because you have $30,000 a year in first pension income, and if that's your take-home income, you just divide that 1.5 million by 2, because half of your annual expenses will be covered. I'm going to use a different color here. It will be covered by your first pension income. So what you really need will be 30,000 multiplied by 25. Okay. I'm sure it's going to solve it for me. There we go. Then your after fire number, that will be $750,000. So it doesn't matter if you have TSP or if you have first pension or not. Maybe you have Social Security or you have any military pension or VA disability compensation or anything else like that. That's how you can calculate it, because you know your pension is coming in at $30,000 a year. If I got, let's say, $20,000 a year for my VA disability, then I know that $20,000 is always going to pay for, let's say my annual expenses are $100,000 a year. Then I want to subtract 20,000 from, you know what? I didn't even show my screen here. Sorry about that. Somebody just told me you're not even sharing your screen. So 20,000 divided by, 20,000 minus 100,000 minus 20,000, then I just need to invest that $80,000 a year because I already know my pension income, or let's say my VA disability compensation and stuff like that. So that's something that you do want to calculate, right? And yeah, but that's how you can kind of calculate the number. So really good question though. I'm guessing that you are retiring in 2026. So okay, so let's see. Some personal questions coming in from the private chat. How much do you make on YouTube every month? I don't think I've ever made a video about how much money I make from YouTube. I honestly don't even pay attention to how many subscribers I have. That's a good question. I'm approaching 70,000 subscribers. That's pretty good. Not bad. How much money I make? I think it's like, I haven't really revealed that. I need to take a look, but it's probably like between $3 to $4 grand a month. So it's not bad. So fun fact about if you're starting a YouTube channel, I am not a YouTube channel teacher or whatever. There are plenty of YouTube channels that teach people how to start a YouTube channel, but this is considered royalty income. I don't know if people knew that, but the advertisers pay my channel royalties for putting out my videos, and because they're monetized, they put whatever ads they want. And just keep in mind, I don't get to choose what ads they put on there. I think they just put the ads based on the audience and based on what you watch, whatever algorithm they have going on. But once you're monetized on YouTube, it's pretty stable income. People are still watching my videos from 2 years ago. I made a video about the how to what to do when you win the lottery. I think that one has still got like over 1 million views. I think it's like 1.3 million views. People are still watching that from 2 years ago. So I don't know if people are searching for it and say, what do I do if I win the lottery? I don't know. But they're like really good YouTube channels that teach you how to start a YouTube channel. Like Think Media, I've been to their conference twice now. You can check out I don't know the other name. Sorry, but I can message you afterwards and let you know. But that's a really good question though. What? Yeah, I would say probably like 3 to 4 grand a month, give or take, which is cool. As you can tell, I don't really take sponsors either. There are a lot of scams out there, and I'm sure you guys have follow some of the other finance YouTube channels that took like Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, but crypto sponsorships or whatever, and ended up being a scam. And I'm really trying not to take, I don't want to take that kind of money. I did partner with a few budgeting apps out there, and that's okay with me because that's kind of my job, right? To help people budget and whatnot. So yeah, that's something I'm good with, but I don't really take a whole lot of sponsors. I get emails all the time, but that would be when I find something that's suitable, I'll probably put something out there. But anyway, um, or the beginning, let me answer some YouTube questions. Are the beginning investment averages for the people at retirement age or just overall investments? Not sure what that, I'm guessing you were watching something and then you were asking a question. Let me read that again. Are the beginning investment averages for the people at retirement age or just overall investments? Let me get back to that. I am trying to understand that question. Hmm. Okay. I'll come back to that. Okay. Can I talk about moving assets out of the TSP upon retirement? That's a really good question. So I've done like so many videos about how to what to do when you quit the federal government or when you separate from the military. So I retired from the Air Force, and I kept my TSP where it is because in my situation, I have what's called a tax exempt TSP. So that's different. I don't think the federal employees have that unless you were deployed, probably. But when I deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan and Kuwait, they were considered combat zones. And when you're in a combat hazardous duty zones, you don't get taxed on the TSP contributions, and you get to grow it tax free, and you can take that money out tax free. I cannot move that into my Roth IRA because Roth IRA or other 401ks do not recognize that tax exempt TSP. So I left my military TSP where it is, right? But I could potentially move my traditional IRA, I'm sorry, traditional TSP over to my solo 401k. So I have a solo 401k for my business. I have both traditional and Roth. And what I can do is move my traditional TSP over to my traditional 401k that I have now with my business, and I can move my Roth TSP over to my Roth 401k, right? So it really depends on what you have right now. So let me give you an example here. Let's say, let me put this away here. So let's say you have, I'm going to make it simple. Let's say you have a traditional TSP, and let me use a different pen. Let's say you have a Roth TSP. Okay. So what you can do, and I've got plenty of videos on that, you can move your Roth TSP to a Roth 401k, a Roth 403b, or even Roth IRA. Okay. And this is not a taxable event at all. One thing to keep in mind is once you move your Roth TSP over to your Roth IRA, you cannot reverse that process. Once you move money out of the Roth TSP, it is going to stay in the Roth IRA forever because that's how the tax rules are written by the IRS. I don't know why it's that way. It's just been that way forever. And so keep that in mind. But if you move money out of the Roth TSP to your Roth 401k, then you can move it to other 403b or back to Roth TSP if you decide to go back into the military or if you decide to go back into the federal government, which is not uncommon. I've seen people who took a break in service in the military and then took like 4-year break and then went back in a commission and became an officer. I've seen that before. And some people have quit the federal government and then came back and work at a different department or agency. So that is very common thing that happens, but just keep that in mind. Now, you're probably going to be wondering why would you put that money into the Roth IRA if you can't reverse that process? So remember, Roth TSP, it comes with 2 different sections. Okay. It has 2 things. You have contributions, and then you have earnings, right? These are the 2 things that you have in your Roth TSP. Now, you know this, contributions, you cannot take it out of your TSP. You just can't. Earnings, you cannot take it out of the TSP. However, if you move that money out of the Roth TSP into your Roth IRA, then you can take this out of your Roth IRA at any time. Earnings are still the same. If you move that earnings into your Roth IRA, you still cannot touch that until you're 59 and a half. So just remember, when you move this money from Roth TSP to your Roth IRA, you need to know how much of your Roth TSP was in contributions and how much of that is in earnings. Take a screenshot of that. Take a screenshot of the contribution page. And I'm going to show you that in a second here. Now, I'm going to talk about the traditional TSP for a second. Now, you can move your traditional TSP, same thing, to your 401k, 403b, and you can put it in the traditional IRA as well. Now, quick pros and cons. Traditional IRA. Pros of putting money into the traditional IRA, you have more investment options, right? Con for putting money into the traditional IRA is that if you're over the Roth IRA income limits and you're trying to do some backdoor Roth IRA, you're going to have a problem with the pro rata rule. So if your income, let's say, is above 150,000, I can't remember the Roth IRA income limits off the top of my head, as a single individual, let's say 150,000, or if you're married, filing your taxes jointly, making over $250,000, then I would avoid putting your money into the traditional IRA because then the pro rata gets triggered when you try to do the backdoor Roth IRA. Okay. And I've made plenty of videos about the backdoor Roth IRA in the past. I'll probably make another one because some people have commented that the process is too complicated. It is kind of complicated, but I'm going to try to make a simpler video in the future. Now, the other popular option, I haven't done this and I need to do this, is putting your traditional TSP into a 401k or 403b. Now, why would you do this? I don't know what I just did. Why would you put money into 401k or 403b? Remember, if you, let's say, I retired from the military at 38, and obviously I'm not going to be qualified to take money out of my TSP, right? Because the rule of 55 applies, and that doesn't apply to the military, but I will have to wait till 55. So when I started my business, I got a solo 401k that comes with a rule of 55. So if I want to take money out of my TSP, traditional TSP, at age 55, if I retired at 38, this 55 rule is gone. So in order for me to take advantage of this from traditional TSP and take it out at 55 still, I would need to move the money into a 401k that comes with a rule of 55. Okay, let me know if that's still confusing. But once I hit 55 here, then I can take that money out of my 401k because that money I rolled over from my traditional TSP is now sitting in the 401k. So that's pretty neat, right? And traditional TSP, any traditional accounts, I would typically put it in a traditional employer sponsored retirement account like 401k, 403b, because of the rule of 55. And if I put all of that money into a traditional IRA, while it's nice to have all of those investment options, but I would have to wait until I'm 59 and a half to take money out of the traditional IRA. You see, that's a 4.5 years of, that's a pretty big gap, right? So if I'm trying to retire early at 55, then I would probably consider more for the 401k. I do have a screenshot of my, not mine, but the traditional TSP or TSP contribution details. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. I know I can find it somewhere. Let's see. Nope, not there. Is it here? I usually teach this to my clients, but I can show this to you. You can always go to firestation.com/consultation if you do want to schedule a 60-minute consultation with me. You cannot, and I'll say this again, you cannot join my private client program without doing that 60-minute consultation first. I've been really busy, and I apologize if you don't see any dates that you want. I think the next appointment is until September. Maybe I have one tomorrow. I'm not sure, but you can take a look. Let's see. Is it this one? TSP contribution details. That's not it. I need to find. Is it in here? I think this is it. Nope. There it is. Okay, cool. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. How do I open this up? There we go. All right, let me see if you can see this. This is what I teach my clients. So what you want to look at is your TSP contribution. And these are the details that you can look. This is all like made up numbers that doesn't belong to anybody. This is not even my TSP account, okay? But for training purposes, what I do is I have people just log into their TSP, and what they want to look at is the breakdown. So what you want to first click on, I don't see a screenshot on this. When you log into your TSP, you can click on contribution details, or it'll say contributions. Click on that. It should be like the middle link on the TSP website. And then it's going to give you the breakdown balances. Okay. So you see this agency contributions and earnings. So this is your employer match that you got. So you get the auto 1%, 3 years right here. 3 years means that's how long it takes for your auto 1% to get vested. Okay. The match is automatically vested, but the auto 1% that you get, you have to wait 3 years. And some employees don't have to wait. They only need to wait 2 years. I believe the special provisions like the police officers, firefighters, and nuclear couriers with the federal government, you get 2 years. But this is what it means. You have auto 1%, $5,000. You have a match for $20,000. That's over the years of contributing. Now here you have your contributions and earnings. So you have $301.87 in traditional TSP contribution, and your Roth, not contribution, sorry, the total balance. So this, assuming this person didn't contribute as much to the traditional TSP, they just went all Roth here, and the Roth balance is $63,612. And the total vested balance is $88,942. So if you haven't met that, let's say 3 years over here, the balance down here is going to be less than your total balance. So your vested balance could be less than your total balance if you haven't met the 2 years or the 3-year vesting schedule. Okay. Now, how do you figure out the contribution details? I don't know why TSP made it so complicated when they didn't need to. So if you go all the way to the bottom, you have to expand this, and then you're going to see the Roth contributions. Okay. That's how much money this person put in to the Roth TSP over the course of so many years. So they got $51,130.52. You want to subtract that number from the $63,612.10. And that gives you 51,000 in contributions and about $12,000 in earnings. So when you move money out of the Roth TSP, you should write that down so that you know how much money you contributed, which you can take out of your Roth IRA at any time once it's sitting in the Roth IRA, and then your earnings for 12,000 is going to have to stay in the Roth IRA until you're 59 and a half. So this is being taught on my Fire Investing Academy. No, not the Fire Investing Academy. There should be a free video on this, but you can check it out when you get a chance. But really good question. I know that that was a really long question to add. Yeah. But yeah, moving assets out of the TSP upon retirement. That's I got a whole video on that, so just check it out when you get a chance. Let's see. What's up from Jacksonville? Yeah. All right. So let me go back to the private community here. Okay. This is really like non-finance related questions, I guess. What's my favorite sports team? Well, I'm ready for the football season. I got I know I'm a Colts fan. If you see the helmet in the back, I'm a Colts fan. It's been a rough few years with since we lost Andrew Luck to all the injuries that he had. But I'm excited for the Colts to do something. I watched like preseason games. Daniel Jones, I guess he got named as the starter. He looked better than I don't know. He looked better than Richardson, in my opinion. Richardson has some work to do, but I don't know. Maybe he'll get traded pretty soon. But yeah, I'm Colts and play fantasy football. Anybody else play fantasy football? Let me know in the chat. So I do play those on my free time. The other question is, how do you prioritize your fire investments? Oh man, no, none of that. Go pack, go stuff. Nope. Although we just played you guys in the preseason game a few days ago. I mean, they look pretty good. It's preseason, but and I'm a Colts fan, but I live in Vegas and managed to buy some Vegas, what do you call that? Raiders season tickets. I bought those back in 2018. I guess seats in the lower section. It's a phenomenal experience. Every time the Colts come, I'm always going to go out there and watch them. And any other games, I just kind of sell them to the people I know, or I just take my clients out, whatever. So anyway, can you answer my question? Oh man, awfully demanding there, Willie. Answer my question or else. Dang, I'm 60% G and 40% C. If the market takes a dump, how much would I lose? I don't know how much money you have. How much money do you have? I mean, if you think about it, 60% G fund right now, it's what is it doing? Let's see. All right. Demanding Willie. Let me go ahead and answer your question real quick. So, I mean, take a look at this, right? You can go to firesuch.com/resources and you can do the math on your own, right? So, you can go to the TSP price tracker, and the G fund is doing about 2.83% on average. And you can always go to the TSP price history, or the TSP fund performances, okay? Right here, and then you go on this and take a look at the price history here, and let's look at G fund. And what do you got? You got a C fund going on. I mean, I can't tell you what the market is going to do for you. Well, if you're old, I guess I'm young too, but you need to figure this out on your own. Like $750,000 that you have in your TSP. So how has the G fund performed in the past, right? Take a look at a G fund. You can look at this on your own on the TSP website, and it tells you what the average annual the rate of return in the past is. You got 4.4% in the past year, 4.27% in the last 3 years. So that's always going to be growing at a flat, almost a flat rate, barely beating inflation, right? Now, C fund, I mean, the C fund, let's see, 2025 this year so far, What is it? 8.56%. This one is more accurate though. As of today, it's 9.88% for the C fund. I mean, if it takes a dump, I mean, it's going to have to lose all 10% in one day to keep it flat, right? And 2024, it did 25% return. So what that means is that 40% of your C fund had gained 25% in 2024. Now 2023 it gained 26.25%. And then you have 2022, that was a bear market year. And if you guys remember, 2022 was, I would say that was one of the worst years that I have seen since the global recession in 2008, 2009. But because that F fund was down, so F fund, which is the long-term bonds and mortgage debt and all that stuff, that's gone down a lot by 13%, and all the life cycle funds went down, and C fund was down 18%. So which means that if you were in 2022 right now, that 40% of your C fund, and if you see an 18% dive, then you're going to lose 18% of the 40% of your C fund. Okay, that's how you figure out. That's really simple math, to kind of see how much it would go down. But I mean, are you expecting the market to crash anytime soon? I don't know. Let me know. Yeah. Is your TSP price tracker available for download? So you cannot download this because this is uploaded, or this gets automatically the prices get updated automatically every day. So on a daily basis, the fund data gets updated. So today it says 9.88%, but tomorrow it's going to change to, let's say, how the market is. I don't know how the market is doing right now. I should probably take a look. S&P 500 is down almost 1%. So that could go down to like 8.88%, whatever that is, right? But yeah, you have to go to Google Sheets to do that. And the link is available as soon as you go to firesession.com/resources. It's kind of a trade-off, right? You give me your email. We're gonna send you all the tools. You get some announcements from me. If you don't want to be subscribed to my email, you can always unsubscribe afterwards and say, hey, thanks for the resources. I just wanted the links. No hard feelings. It doesn't hurt me in any way. Go to firesession.com/resources, which I have it over here. You can just register your name. I don't know why we even keep track of the gross income. I don't really care for those. I just want your email so that I can send you and put you in my network. Now, the one thing that I did launch recently is the free Fire community, not the paid version, but we have the free one. And we're slowly kind of shifting from this website over to Circle. And I'm going to have an app. Actually, I already have an app. You can download it and get notifications from me whenever there's some kind of TSP marketing, some economic analysis, or the price updates and whatnot. I have it on there. So I have like the TSP Circle, the TSP private community. People do enjoy that. So check it out when you get a chance. There's the free version. If you are interested in that, the free version, I'm trying to figure out a way to probably put that link on there. And because I'm trying to minimize scammers, because there are a lot of scammers trying to click on my link and put like bogus emails on it, and try to sabotage my website, really. So I need to be very, very careful with that. Okay. But yeah, check it out. That's how you get the TSP price tracker. I really enjoy that. Every day I look at it, 9.8%, 21.88% from iFund. iFund is doing really well. I just did a video the other day that was how life cycle funds, for the first time in over a decade, it's beating the C fund. And that's really interesting too. And in that video, I show like the differences of how the life cycle fund performs with a new international fund allocation. The I fund used to be a lot smaller in the L fund, and now it's bigger, right? They changed that very recently, like last year or the year before. So now the life cycle funds are doing really well. And they're actually beating the C fund right now because of the I fund performing at 21.88% year to date. So yeah, just check it out. Anyway, I'm not gonna drag onto that, but check it out when you get a chance. It's pretty fancy. Yeah, there's so many YouTube and TikTok people saying that the crash is coming, crash is coming. I've heard crash is coming so many times, right? 2023, 2024. I think 2022 was that was the year um I was very concerned when the inflation number came out much, much higher than expected in December. So the market actually started to crash in November 2021, and then it hit it again in December. And when the CPI numbers, the inflation numbers came out, that was very concerning. Now, and people will always make a content video about how the market crash is coming. If you look at my videos, I think I talked about the what to do when there's a bear market, right? What to do when the market crashes. I mean, I think I made some videos about uh, why Roth IRA conversion is best during the market crash because you save money on taxes. Those things like that. I never make videos about the market is going to crash. So we need to, just kind of like, uh, yeah, I, I try not to listen to all that. And I recommend that you don't either. I would just pay attention to your risk tolerance, right? If you have 90% C fund, or let's say 90% stocks and 10% bonds, are you comfortable with that? Do you need your investment to pay for your retirement expenses? Are you heavily relying on your 401k, TSP, or 403b? If the answer is no, because you're trying to double your 401k in like 8 years or 9 years, then you need to consider what that stock allocation is going to be. And if you're heavily relying on that 401k, then you need to figure out how much of your expenses are being withdrawn from your 401k or TSP, right? And just take a look at how much of your let's say you have G fund, right? And if you put 50% in G fund, are you trying to cover certain number of expenses over the course of, let's say, the next 5 years, right? Then you kind of hit the risk of you have the inflation risk. So if inflation gets hit again, like we did in 2022 when it went up to 9%, and the egg prices went up by 45, 46%, is that G fund going to cover that? Probably not, right? So now you're going to end up facing that inflation risk. The other thing that you want to keep in mind is the the interest rate risk and the market risk when it comes to putting all into the C fund. I mean, I'm a fan of diversification. I'm always a fan of that. But you also have to make sure that you weigh yourself kind of like on a scale and say, am I risk tolerant or am I risk averse? Okay, I am risk tolerant because I have enough pension income to pay for my expenses during a bear market if the market crashes. And if I'm and I can just have that TSP or 401k double or triple in the next 5 or 6 years or whatnot. And then you kind of have to remember how much of your risk is being weighed into your TSP portfolio and figure out, am I okay to lose 20%, 30%, or 40% in a year, right? Is the bear market going to happen again in the future? Absolutely. So that's something that you want to look out for. Let's see. Oh, yeah, sorry, the private community here. I already answered that. Yes, I'm excited for football. Yes, the Colts are going to be great. The Colts are going to go all the way to the Super Bowl. Man, a lot of poop talkers in there. Let me see. Uh, I'm over the Roth IRA income limits. How do I invest in my Roth IRA? I have a video on that. I'm well. You know what? I'll just share this slide real quick. Let's see. I have it. Let's see if I can find it. Is it this one? Yeah. Okay. So I have the slide on this, but this is more of a backdoor Roth IRA. If you just search for fireside chat backdoor Roth IRA, it has all the instruct like step by step on how to do it. I mean, it's just you have an extra account that you have to create, which is the traditional IRA. So between checking account to a traditional IRA, and then you move that money over to the Roth IRA, let's say $7,000 this year, you don't invest until that money hits the Roth IRA, because over here, it's going to grow tax deferred. This is going to grow tax free. Okay. So that's kind of the extra step, just to make it as simple as possible. But check out that video, because I did break down all the pro rata rule and stuff like that, after tax contribution and stuff like that. I don't want to put too much effort into this Q&A, because I think I covered that in last week's live stream. So, but yeah, check it out when you get a chance. Okay. That's a good question though. Let's see. Hmm. That's another good question. Yeah. So the taxable brokerage, when it comes to fire investing calculation, no, not all of your money is going to be taxed. So I do have a visual aid on that. Let me see if I can find it. But when you put money into the taxable brokerage account, that's all in after-tax dollars, right? So the IRS already assumes that you pay taxes on the cost basis. Remember, that's your taxable brokerage. You're probably thinking about 401k. So 401k, yes, it's a broker or a brokerage account, but it's a 401k account tied to your employer. So you can choose to do tax deferred, do traditional 401k. That's going to lower your taxes now, and then you pay taxes later on. But when it comes to taxable brokerage, I found it right here. Let me show this to you real quick. So this is like one of the examples I gave to one of my clients. So taxable brokerage, let's say you have $2.5 million in there. I have cost basis for $800,000. Okay. That's just an example. This is tax free. I do not pay any taxes on what I contributed. There's no, this isn't a 401k. And that's something that I don't want you to misunderstand. This is cost basis. What I put in, I already paid taxes on it. So I'm not going to get taxed again on that, right? Now, the next one would be the unrealized gains. So if you log into your brokerage account, Schwab, Fidelity, whatever broker that you have, you get to click on what's called unrealized gain. That should be on any menu, so you can find it easily. And you're going to see what your unrealized gains are. So unrealized gains are what you earned from the $800,000 that you invested over the course of 20, 30, 40 years. And that 1.7 million is going to be subject to taxes. Now, I should show you. Yep. Okay. So if you held your investments, if you've been holding your investments for less than a year, calendar year, then you are subject to federal income tax. So that would be the ordinary income tax, could be taxed up to 37%. And if you hold it for more than a year, then you're going to be taxed at capital gains tax rates, which are much lower at 0, 15, and 20%. You probably watched the interview with Warren Buffett, where Warren Buffett's investment income, his taxes are much lower than his assistants' W-2 income, because the W-2 income is taxed at federal income tax up to 37%. But Warren Buffett's dividend income, because they've been holding for at least a year, he's going to be taxed up to 20%, and plus the 2%, the 2%, the what do you call that? The investment income tax rate. I can't remember the official name for it. I'm losing my mind here. But yeah, if you hold it for more than a year, anyway, you're going to be taxed at 0, 15, or 20%. So that's something to keep in mind. My investments, what I always look at, because you're going to see the tax lots, okay? Tax lots in your brokerage account. It's going to say tax lots on there. And they do break down to what your cost basis or what some of your unrealized gains are, long-term or short-term, because remember, you're probably always contributing every week or every month or every quarter, whatever the frequency of your contributions are. So some of your investments, or if you get dividends recently, and being reinvested, so some of your unrealized gains could be seen as short-term, which means that you will get taxed as federal income tax, and some of your investments will be seen as long-term capital gains tax. So that would be taxed at 0, 15, or 20%. So just kind of take a look and see when you look at your taxable brokerage account, it doesn't act the same as your 401k. I think that's probably the misunderstanding of your question, but yeah, every account is not the same, right? Not all accounts are created equal. So just take a look at what that means for your taxable brokerage. If you are going to retire early at 50, then taxable brokerage is going to be the very account that you're going to rely on heavily, because you're still not going to have access to your 401k or Roth IRA earnings or other retirement accounts. So you're probably not going to have a pension coming in. If you look at the FIRE community, I mean, people who are looking to retire at 40, 45, or 50, they're really focused on the taxable brokerage because they know that they're not going to be able to access their TSP 401k or 403b. So this is something that you can check out this video too. So I did talk about that in the past. Hey, that's awesome. So Patrick has a military TSP and civilian TSP. Yeah, a lot of my private clients have the same scenario. I'm a veteran, as you guys know. I'm an Air Force veteran, retire after 20 years. So I have a really large network of veterans in my private client program, and I have seen so many double TSP accounts where they have a military TSP and a civilian TSP. And you can always roll over your military TSP over to the your civilian TSP to enjoy that rule of 55. So that's something that you definitely want to look into if you're getting ready to retire from the federal government, and you don't want to leave that military TSP the way it is, because you want to have that rule of 55 with the federal or the civilian TSP. So no, that's pretty cool. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, your civilian TSP, I'm guessing you're still active. 20% life, 2050. Yeah, I mean, a life cycle fund is doing better than the C fund this year. So I showed that earlier in my TSP price tracker. Let's see, right here, 2050 is doing 11.76% return and beating 9.88% for the C fund. I mean, I'm sure you guys are not lump sum investing, right? So, as your dollar cost averaging, your investment, oh man, I dropped my pen. It's always going to be fluctuating on the rate of returns here. But yeah, anyway, that's cool. Cool. Daryl, the market has already started to roll over. What's the best way to protect your portfolio during this inevitable bear market? Buy more. I'm always buying. 2022, I had some videos come out. I was pretty, brand new to YouTube, and I got made fun of for making all the videos about, I was buying like lots of stocks in 2022 when the tech stocks were crashing, right? And that's kind of like, I was like, I'm gonna buy more. So I bought more, and I remember buying Meta for $90 a share. Google was down to like $92, $93 a share. And when the market was crashing, people really didn't want to buy. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna scoop up these shares. And you really become rich, wealthy when you face market uncertainty and you have a healthy cash position to build up your assets. That's really going to help your wealth. Is when people are being fearful and you go in there and scoop up their shares. I said thanks. I still want to say thanks to whoever sold me Meta for what, $90 a share, Google for $90 a share, and Amazon was down to 100 whatever dollars a share at that time, right? When people are being fearful, I'm gonna be going in there and buying more. I'm not gonna I'm not ready to retire yet, and obviously everyone's financial situation is different. So what I'm doing is I'm always just kind of like paying attention to the VIX indicator. When the VIX goes up to above 40, 40, then I'm going to be like, I'm going in there. I mean, there's a fear in the market right now about what Jerome Powell is going to say at Jackson Hole. And, the market might crash even more because, he might say, we're not going to cut rates and, get the rug pulled by Jerome Powell. And I've seen it. I mean, I've been saying this for a while, is we should have cut rates back in May. But that's just me. That's my personal opinion. Nothing political about this, but it's just based on the labor labor market that I've been seeing since May. I'm like, I've been saying this, like, labor market is going to be a struggle since the end of 2024. So people who quiet quit back in 2023, 2024, I think that employers are doing that now, whatever that reverse quiet quit is. But yeah, just take a look. Yeah, I do too. VIX over 40, absolutely. I mean, the VIX went to 50 in April, I think, and it's like, man, that's a great time to buy for me. I'm never selling. I'm always buying. So yeah, it's just no fear for me. I believe in the U.S. economy. I know some people are going to be like, well, that's stupid, you know. I'm like, but I do. I really do. And I it's hard to beat Nvidia. It's hard to beat, you know, Nvidia, Amazon. Is Amazon going to crash? No. You know, is Meta going to crash? No. Apple? No. Right? It's really hard to beat these S&P 500 companies. So if I had to, you know, if my very first index fund was the S&P 500 ETF, and I've been doing pretty well since then. But yeah, I love buying it. You know, um, but yeah, inflation is going to be an issue, in my opinion. But the labor market is going to be a bigger problem. If you remember 2008, 2009, unemployment went to as high as 10%, right? So that wasn't until the like beginning of 2010, the labor market was still they were struggling. People were struggling to get a job. And I'm a millennial, and you know, joining the military was easier for me. It was kind of like for me to kind of get away from all the craziness. But you know, that's really gonna the labor market is always going to have a harder time to recover, not as quickly as the unemployment as the stock market. It doesn't work that way. I'm a business owner, right? If I have to fire my employees or let go of my employees um, because of interest rates staying high and there's not enough revenue, I would hate to do it, but I might have to do it. I'm not saying that I'm going to, but I might have to do it because that is the most expensive line item in my company. The labor costs, they are the most expensive ones. And if you hear all those layoffs going on, right? They're trying to cut those expenses. And I hate to say it, but these public companies, who are they trying to please? Investors, right? If I'm an investor of this company X and I see that this company is not doing so well with the profit margin because their expenses went up, then I'm going to be like, man, why do I want to invest in a company that's spending this much money on their capex or whatever, right? But join my private community. I have a private one. I talk more about the stock market fundamentals in that community, and just get your free financial resources when you get a chance. But yeah, I already went over an hour. My assistant's telling me I need to get off and get ready for the next meeting. But if you do want to have a 60-minute consultation, go to fireside.com/consultation. Again, you cannot join the private client program without that 60-minute consultation. I've had to refund some of the money to people. I'm like, I cannot take you as my private client because I haven't had that consultation with you yet. But check it out when you get a chance. I never sell anything. I rarely get sponsored by anybody because I don't really take sponsorship from anybody. So, but yeah, I'm here to help. If you're a veteran, drop me a something in the live chat. Love to know if you're what branch you served and whatnot. But until next time, I will be back not next week, but the week after, and then I'm gonna have a weekly either TSP Q&As, 401k Q&As, or Roth IRA Q&As. So I'm trying to figure out how to format that in the future. But I would love to see you guys again. But I'll see you guys in about 2 weeks for the live stream.